Guys, as you know, this is workshop 4. We're just over a third of the program. So it's going quite fast, but thanks for showing up this evening anyway. And as usual, we start with a few group agreement to make the workshop great, hopefully. So please mute your microphone. By now, you probably know that. It's just so we can't hear the background noise. If you have a question, you can use the chat, but mute your phone until mute your microphone until we ask a question or we have a group chat. Talking about chat, please don't be shy using it. The Turn team is there to answer all your questions. Even as I'm talking, please feel free to ask clarification. Someone will be there to answer. And if you drop off the call, please rejoin using the same link. Lucas is on tech tonight, and he will just bring you back in straight away. So don't stress, use the same link and come back into the workshop if you have any internet issues. Here we are, workshop number 4, Know My Competitors. So this evening is all about your competitors, how to find them, how to separate direct and indirect competitors, how to identify their strength and weakness, so you can then identify your own unique selling point against the competition. But we'll explain all that in a minute. Goals. We got some goals for this evening, because as you know, Turn's favorite quote, well, the incubation team anyway, without a destination in mind, you are just running in place. We wouldn't want that, so we've set some goals for you. Hopefully by the end of this workshop, you'll be able to research your competition or have the beginning of an idea of how to do that and develop it during the program. You'll be able to recognize your direct competitors, including their strengths and weaknesses, and you'll be able to develop your unique selling point. Quite a cool little concept that we'll explain during this workshop. And we broke down the session just like that. So we first defined competition, USPs, and another couple of concepts that will help with the process of researching your competition. Then we'll hear about our champion this evening, Saman, who is here with us, who will then sort of share his experience of competitors research. Then we'll go on with a few practical tips for your competitors research. And we'll start the first break. You'll get 2 breaks this evening. The first one to try your hands at competitors research with your business buddy. The usual 5-minute break, just 5 minutes, guys. And then straight back into the second breakout, where you will try to define your USPs based on your competitors. And finally, as usual, we'll spend the last 5 minutes just talking about suggested to-dos and look at what's next in the week ahead. All right, then let's just push on let's start with one question. So what is competition? What is a competitor? And how do you define competition? So very simply, competitors are businesses trying to solve the same problems, needs, and desire as you. And in your everyday life, you see this happening all the time. So top of my head, Tesco and Sainsbury, McDonald's and Burger King, famously Apple and Microsoft. But what we want to find out with competitors research is the state of your business compared to the state of your competition, and answer this very simple question: how can you increase your chances of success in your chosen field? And this is where competitors comes in. And this is why it's so great as well, because you don't really have to reinvent the wheel. They have been there for longer, so do get inspiration from them. And that way, you don't really have to start from scratch. Ultimately, you can save time and money by knowing exactly what you're getting into. And when it comes to studying your competitors, you can break down their businesses into many, many different parts. These different parts are called features. And let's have a quick look at that concept. So what is a feature? A feature is basically a specific part of a product or business that has benefit for the user. So if we take a very simple example, like the motor industry and their best-selling product, which is the car, one of the features that the automobile industry would have come up with would have been heated car seat. And the benefit of that feature would be an even nicer driving experience. So just like in a car, your competitors have features as part of their businesses. And just like your competitors, your business will need features to succeed. Why is that? Just because if you're not clear about what you're offering, then it will be really, really hard to stand out. So if we take that idea and apply it to your business, to your company, each feature will fit in your business, just like the piece of a puzzle, and the whole puzzle will be your business. But we can dive in a little bit deeper. So as we've seen, your business needs clear features, and your competitor's business has features too. When you research your competitors, you can look at all these features and really study them to see where you can do better. So here are a few very simple examples that you can sort of study. So the first feature would be product and services. So clear product and clear services are an important part of your business. It's also a very easy point to start your competitors' research. So what kind of problem are you trying to solve? What kind of desire are you trying to meet? Are your competitors doing the same thing, and how are they doing it? How will your product or service, how will it be different? Here's another feature, process and fulfillment. So that's just another word for how are you going to get your product or services into the hands of your customers? How will you fulfill that promise? Maybe you're thinking about having a store at some point or a shop. Maybe you're thinking about delivery or takeaway if you're a food business. But you need clear process to get your product or service to the customer and give customer an easy access to your product and service. Then there's customer service and experience, probably one of the most important features you can have in your business. As we explored last week, you're probably aware now that if the customer associate your business with a successful, positive experience, they will tell someone and then they will come back. So go and observe how the competition treat their clients. What can you do better? Where can you get some inspiration? And what can you do to convince the customer that your business is a special experience as well? Finally, story and brand feature. So now that you have your customer attention, you really have to close the deal with making an emotional connection. And all the great brands are very, very, very good at that. So try to sort of think, so what's your story? What's your business story? And what's your business mission? Maybe you're trying to do something for the world or your community. Maybe you're trying to be the #1 business within your field. A lot of you have very exciting story, so please use storytelling. It's such a great tool to make sure that your business is known and becomes popular. And if you can explain why you do what you do in an engaging and innovative way, people will remember you. So you can use branding to stand out from the competition. So you can see, you can be very methodical when it comes to competitors' research. So you can look at your own features and then break down the competitors' features and see where you can make a difference. It's not easy, and it can be quite challenging to keep an eye on your competitors while trying to stay true to your idea and improving your own features. But it's something that you're gonna have to learn to be comfortable with in order to stay in business. And we're obviously here to help you do that. Well, let's look at an example. This is a case study, a real case study of a real social enterprise called Twist Again. And this was set up by a social entrepreneur called Nima, and Fred, our very own Fred, even helped with the idea and the setup of this social enterprise. So Twist Again goals is to offer something different within the senior citizen care industry. They've noticed that clients in care home industry were complaining about the lack of fun and stimulation. They felt lonely and not really cared for. So if you add the fact that some clients in these institutions were not seeing much of their family, you have a problem. That problem is called social isolation. And this is the problem that Twist Again wants to solve. So they make people feel younger using event and activity, like in the good old days, just to stay active. They deliver events straight to care home, and they can ferry people to events as well. So they created services that appeal to the audience using positive nostalgia and a little bit of humor. Process and fulfillment was also central to the idea, as Nima wanted to make sure that booking was really easy. And since they come to you, this solves a big problem for people with mobility issues. So the clients can pick and choose their activity, and they're really at the center of what the company does. And they can even bring their family, or they can come alone and meet people there. And finally, please do look at the name, Twist Again. This is a great story and brand feature. So they are appealing to the age group by referring to a dance that was invented when the clients were young. They communicated directly with their customer using something familiar and adding a fun twist to it, which also set the tone for the organization mission, which is help clients in care home have a stimulating experience and contribute to enrich their life. Now, and this is a rhetorical question, how do you think Nima and Fred got there? They did that competitor research. So when Nima and Fred worked on the business model, they looked at what the competition was doing. And during their research, what informed their decision is that they quickly realized that starting a new care home was really expensive and that the market was actually crowded. It's very competitive, believe it or not. So, but one of the things that was missing was someone who could provide services to multiple care homes without the need of a physical space. So they found the niche by looking at the competition, and they just went, well, no one is really doing that. And although the market is very, very competitive, Nima's business is managing to be a little different using competitive study. And that brings us to the next concept that I'd like to talk to you about. I'm sure, guys, you're aware that there are new businesses being founded every year. Some businesses make it, some don't. Often those who don't make it are just too expensive, not profitable enough. Some didn't do enough customer research. Now, when you create your business, you want to stand out. And of course, you may do similar things than the competition, but what's really important is that by studying your competitors, you can stand out slightly from the crowds by trying to be different. But here's the thing, if you manage to create a feature that is so completely unique that it literally separates you from the competitors, then you would have created a USP, a unique selling point, and you probably going to start hearing that a lot from the Turn team because it's quite central to try to having a successful business. People will remember you for the unique selling point. But here's a tip. A USP, a unique selling point, is just a feature that stands out as special. It doesn't have to be something that was never invented. You might not be the only person doing it, but you're the only person doing it your own way. And people will remember you for that feature. Very quickly, if we look at Turn, at what we do, we're definitely not the only charity or nonprofit providing employment support to refugees, but we're the only one doing it this way. We're providing entrepreneurship support, and nobody else is doing it quite the way we're doing it. So that's how we stand out from the other agencies. So basically, you guys are very, very much helping us creating our own USP by letting us working with you. So thank you for that. So please do go and find your own flavor, use your own strengths, your own story, your own resources and network to find and create your USP. And a quick example to show you that it doesn't have to be something that was never invented before, and it can even happen in industry, like the flower delivery. So this is Freddy's Flowers. This is a real company as well. And it's a pretty normal product. You can see florists everywhere in the high street online, but they wanted to stand out a little bit from the crowd. So they added another feature, which was customer delivery. Pretty cool, but then you might say also very common. But here's what they did that is just a twist on the normal flower delivery. They deliver the flowers, then give the customer control about the experience by providing a guide for the customer to arrange the flower themselves. So suddenly the customer turns into the florist and a simple purchase becomes a fun session. It's not just about getting flowers, it's now about expressing your personality with a creative activity. And that is the unique selling point. So you can find USPs in any industry at all. A word of caution before we go deeper into competitors research. Pick your battles wisely. Competition should be selected to fight at the right level. So, for example, if you were to run a marathon tomorrow, just like me, you'd probably sit at the back of the queue rather than being at the front with the elite runner, because you might be new to that. So just like this little guy, it might take a little while to be in the same weight class. So we recommend you to be cautious. So big companies, so the big player, the major players in your field, they might be part of the same market, but it doesn't really make sense to start a business from scratch and then immediately compete with the big businesses. You can know what they do and maybe pick up a few features because they have set the standards, but they might not be your direct competitor just because they're too big. And honestly, guys, that's okay. You know, remember this when you go out there and start your competitors research. So three basic steps to competitors research. Identify your competitors. Once you've done that, you just study strengths and weakness. Now remember to break down their businesses into features for a more detailed research. And finally, you can revisit your own feature and maybe change them or work on a new USP. Look at your competitors, then define how you would like to be different. So do study competitors of your own size. In the beginning, at least, who knows what might happen and how big you might become in the end. But start small, be cautious. Once you identify their weaknesses, take advantage of it, professionally speaking, and try to do better. You know, try to be better at the thing that they're not looking at so much. And here's the thing, you don't really have to compete with everyone. You can also find within your industry models and role models and partner, especially with your indirect competitors. So we're coming into that concept now. So direct and indirect competition. So behind the red door, you'll find your direct competitors. A direct competitors is a business that will offer the same solution to the same customer with the same product. They'll be part of your day-to-day, and you'll have to keep an eye on their product and features regularly just to make sure you're not missing on anything new. Behind the blue door, you'll find your indirect competitor. Businesses which are not doing the exact same thing as you do, but are looking to fulfill the same needs and customer desire. So here's a quick example. So take this drink, for example, Meta, which is an energy drink that launched in the market around 2018. And their claim is that they're using a natural blend of herbs to stimulate and balance your body. So they use words like a wellness blend, herbal supplement, and they're focusing on healthy ingredient, natural energy, rather than caffeine and sugar. So who would have been their direct and indirect competitors? Well, when you think of energy drink, you think about Red Bull. So now Red Bull contains sugar and caffeine, like reportedly, and even the sugar-free version contain artificial sugar that may or may not be great for you in the long term. Meta tried to reach to the very same customers who are looking for a boost, but they do it in a different way. So they're marketing themselves as an awareness blend rather than an energy drink. And the language they're using is also one of their unique features against a direct competitor. So if you remember last week's workshop, it's the same market, different customer segment. So what's quite interesting is to see how dynamic competition can be, because since 2018, Red Bull has now launched a couple of drinks that really imitates what Meta has been doing over the last few years. So natural ingredient, no sugar, no caffeine. It's pretty interesting. So if you got time, you can look it up. But Red Bull is not trying to enter the same customer segment as Meta. So all this to illustrate that the biggest competitors have existed for longer. So they already have an audience. So learn their strengths and weaknesses, and then match them with cool features of your own, just like Meta tried to. So you'll have to get an edge working on the features that you can afford to change. So can you come up with a better recipe? Can you come up with a better pricing? Maybe you can give a customer a more meaningful experience, or are you better at telling your story? While you're improving on your features, always be thinking about your USP so you can really, really stand out. But there is another drink. There is another drink out there that provides energy to people when they need it, and that is not directly competing with Meta, and that is coffee. In a way, both drinks are fulfilling similar needs and desire for the customers, but the perception is completely different. Coffee drinkers belong to a different market segment, and they have consumer of coffee have different beliefs, different ritual. And the coffee industry has seen its own evolution over the past 15 years. It's become a more conscious affair. People want to know where the coffee comes from. They want to know how much it really costs. So a drink or a company like Meta could learn from researching the coffee industry and apply it to their own market. Just because customers who want organic coffee might also be interested in a healthy drink with natural ingredient. And when it comes to indirect competitors, guys, we want to show you how creative you can be when it comes to just researching. So as we've seen, coffee could have been a sort of industry that Meta has researched, but it could have gone even further. So other caffeinated drinks like tea or mate from different places in the world. Caffeine pills, you know, supplements. How about food? How about energy ball and protein bar? They could have studied the language of the food industry just to get some inspiration and apply it to their own drink. How about other healthy drinks, kombucha or fresh juice? Or Club Mates, apparently, so this is a nice, a refreshing caffeine drink that is very, very popular in Berlin. Maybe you guys can drop Fred some question about that, called Club Med. And drinking supplements like collagen drinks, or there's even the option of looking at outside the F&B industry and that other option to get energy. So the point is, try to think outside the box. Remember to draw inspiration from wider sources other than your obvious competitors. And remember those two things. So learn to be different from your direct competitors and learn something new from your indirect competitors. We're now gonna hear from Saman, who was where you are now, I think a couple of years ago, but he can tell you more about it. And he's gonna speak for about 10-15 minutes, and there'll be a Q&A at the end. So if you have any question, save them for the end, or you can just drop them in the chat as well, and we'll pick them up as we go along. So Saman, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Eli. It's been a great session so far. Hi, everyone. My name is Saman, and I'm very excited to be here today to talk to you about competitor research and also share with you some of my own experiences that I've had with it. So a little bit of a background on me. I'm an entrepreneur and a filmmaker. I started my Turn journey back in 2020 with the Takeoff program. And at the time, I was working on a film locations business. So we were kind of trying to build like a Airbnb type of solution, but for filming on locations for filmmakers. And more recently, I've also joined Turn again to help deliver the DG skill sessions. So if you come to some of those, you might see me around. And, you know, throughout my journey of starting up businesses and also my film location startup, I had to rely very heavily on competitor research to better understand my customers, the markets I was entering, and how best to kind of like strategize how best to position my business and its offering so that we would set ourselves up for success. But before I tell you about all of that, I want to talk about why competitor research is important and why it's important to keep doing it as your business keeps on growing. So can we move on to the next slide? Eli, thank you very much. So firstly, you need competitor research for your ICE Academy test. It helps you figure out what features your product or service needs and how to give your business a unique selling point and make it stand out in the market. And secondly, it's something you need to keep doing in real life constantly, because competitor research never really ends. As your business grows and expands, and you need to be constantly aware of the other businesses that are operating in the same market as you. You know, whose products might compete with yours, and they might be targeting your customers. And this helps you find ways of improving your product and staying ahead of the market. Now, when I was first starting in film locations business, sorry, can we move on to the next slide? There we go. All right, so I'm going to give you a little case study. When I started with my business, the film locations, I had no knowledge of how the film locations part of the film industry worked. And I had a lot of questions that needed answering. So I didn't know what kind of fees and prices I should charge for my services, or what kind of problems did the filmmakers face when trying to find a new location to hire for filming. And so this was where my competitor research kind of like helped me massively, because I was able to find out how much other businesses similar to me were charging. And then I learned of their processes. How did they find locations? So I had a lot of questions, and also I had a lot of questions that I didn't know of that became clear that I needed to be asking these as I did more research on my competitors. Can we go on to the next one? There we go. So it really helps you to define your questions, what it is that you need to be asking about your business or your business idea. And then after that, I learned of the direct and indirect competitors, which Eli told us about earlier. And I realized that I had a lot of, while I had a lot of direct competitors, there were also in this like small niche that I was in, who were also trying to offer the same services that I was. How would I make my business stand out? Now, the solution that worked for me was to try and adjust my business model and my internal processes, and make them more efficient than all of my competitors, because these other businesses that were offering the film locations, they were doing a lot of the things in the process manually. So they were talking to each other, and then people inside of the business had to run and make a lot of questions from other parties. And I kind of like worked on how could we automate some of these, and therefore lowering our costs, which would, eventually enable us to offer more attractive prices to our target customers. And I also had learned of my indirect competition. Now, these competition are coming mainly from publicly funded kind of like non-profit organizations who have databases of film locations that they're happy to let filmmakers use for free. And this was kind of scary, because if there is another bigger organization who's offering the same exact thing as I am for free, how do I stand to make my business make money? And so I had to look into them more. I had to sort of learn how their services worked. And I realized that, a lot of their databases were out of date. Their communications were very slow. Film productions sometimes waited for weeks or months to hear back from these organizations about film locations. And so then again, armed with this knowledge gained from my competitor research, I was able to draft a solution to make me stand out in the market. And so I made my website super fast, easy to search through, and focus on improving my customer service. So every time that somebody would reach out to me for a specific type of location, I would make a goal of making sure that I've replied to them within 6 hours of their contact. And all of these combined, like all of these little features in my service offering, it made the user experience as painless as possible. And I received a lot of great feedback and positive feedback from my target customer because of this. And so as you keep going on and you do more customer research and you find ways of either refining or adding new features, you need to keep going back to the very first step, because it's kind of like a cycle. You have to, go back and re-ask the questions that you initially did and see what has changed, and kind of like keep on improving and reiterating on your idea. And so with that example of my own experience, I'm going to run you through 3 methods of competitor research that are my personal favorites. These are the main ways that I research competitors in any space whenever I'm thinking about maybe starting a business. So the first one is simply talking to your customers. If you're at the idea stage, and you don't have any actual customers, it's best that you talk to people that you think could be your potential customers. If your product is solving a problem that they have, it's most likely that they will have already looked at similar products or similar solutions. And so you can really learn a lot from talking to them. And they'll be able to, they'll tell you things that they like and things that they don't like about other products and services, oftentimes from your actual competitors, that can be very helpful for you to figure out what it is that works and what it is that doesn't work in the market. And it's generally a very, very important point. So you need to be constantly talking to your customers, no matter what stage of business you're in. Now, the next one that can help you identify competitors in your space is looking up on Google Advanced Search and Google Trends. Now, using these tools, you can find out who else is advertising similar products or services and what kind of customers they are trying to reach. You can find out what are your customers searching for and what are the solutions that they are finding through their searches. And it can be a great way of figuring out how and where to position your business using different marketing tools so that you can reach them when they need you most. And finally, the third way, which is great for specifically is great for finding financial information and kind of like ownership details on your competitors, is that say you've done some initial research and know what other companies are your competitors. How do you find out more about them? Maybe you want to know who owns them, who owns that company, or how much money they made last year. So a great tool for this is the government company register website. And every company that is registered in the UK is on this register list. So through this website, you can find out who are the owners or directors of any business in the UK. Even if your own business is registered, you can find yourself in there. And most of their information, all of their public accounts, they're all available publicly. And knowing these kind of like information about businesses really helps you with doing more research into how big your market is, how much money could you potentially stand to make by looking at your competitors who work in a similar fashion. And also, I think it's a very important point to try and connect, if you can, with the owners of these competing businesses. Because you never know, while we do competitor research, every competitor today could also be a great partnership tomorrow. So it's always good to network. A lot of times, especially for smaller businesses, I always recommend to try and talk to other people who operate similar businesses to yours. Because, as much as you'd be curious to learn about theirs and how they do things, they would also feel the same. And it's a great way of finding potential partnerships for the long run so everyone can grow together. And if you guys scan that QR code, it's going to take you to the government Companies House registry website. And it's very simple and easy to use. So with that, I think we're almost up on my time. So should we move on to questions if anyone has any?
Absolutely. So guys, Saman has got five minutes of Q&A. So feel free to unmute or drop question in the chat if you have any questions for him.
We'll also drop my LinkedIn profile link into the chat. So feel free to connect or reach out to me if you have any questions or if you want to talk, not just about competitor research, but business in general. I'm always happy to link up and chat.
Well, Saman, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'd like, how soon did you start competitors research? Like when you did the program with us, how soon did you start competitors research through your business idea?
Yeah, so I mean, the way that I go about like developing business ideas is that I think customer research starts even before you know what the idea actually is. Sometimes you might have an idea for a specific product, and you might look into the market and sort of see what's out there. What are the solutions that people use to fix this specific problem? And it begins there. So it's one of the very crucial and earliest steps in any sort of business development, in any niche or any market. It doesn't matter. It's universal. It's one of those things that's it's a very much a transferable skill, I think.
Hey, Saman, thanks very much for talking. That was awesome. I've got a quick question for you. I wondered, did you have, is there anything in setting up your business that you wish in hindsight you had done, either related to competitor research or otherwise, that you wish in hindsight, oh, I wish I'd researched that earlier, I wish I'd looked that up earlier, I wished I'd talked to that person earlier, something like that?
Yeah, almost everything.
The beauty of hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah, like looking back on it, like it's one of those things that I feel like I never did enough of, and I did a lot of competitor research. I mean, outside of business, it's been great because it's led me to connect with endless people in my industry, you know, people that I could have never dreamt of having a chat with. I've been able to grab a coffee with them. You know, award-winning, Oscar-nominated artists, filmmakers. So it's been brilliant. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I can't think of a specific thing to name that I go like, oh, you know, I regret not knowing about that sooner. Yeah, I don't know, Ben. I'm sorry. We have a question in the chat. Mary says, what comes first, doing the desktop research or speak to competitors directly, and why? I would say doing the desktop research always comes first, because it really depends on what stage you're in terms of your business. So if you just have a very, very basic idea in your head, I would say try and not do any competitor chats directly, because a lot of times, you know, you don't know what the other person is going to do. You might have a chat with them, you might be too trusting, and they might take advantage of that. So do be mindful that, you know, stuff like that happens quite often. So, you know, play your cards close to your chest. Don't tell them everything about your idea or your business, unless you are 100% sure that you can trust that person, which most of the time, if they're a competitor, I would advise against. But yeah, I think talking to your competitors comes at a later stage. Once you have a developed business, once you have a product, or you're already trading, you already have customers, you already have money coming in. I think that would be a good point to try and get a feel for who your competitors are on a more personal level. I don't know, is there anything you want to add to this, Eli?
No. I think you answered the you know, the question perfectly. That's your experience, and you're sharing with the entrepreneurs and their business buddies. And obviously, as they go through their competitors research this year, they will find their own way. Hopefully, having sort of gathered a wealth of information from people like you, Saman. If there was any more question, guys, unfortunately we're out of time. So please feel free to reach out to Saman privately. He's gonna drop his LinkedIn. Maybe he has already. So yeah, make use of, as we say all the time, make use of the network that's sort of that here for you, the Turn community. And that could be someone that you can add to your LinkedIn or that you can reach out to. So please do so. Saman, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. You're more than welcome to stay if you want. Yeah, that was great. Thank you for the chat. You're more than welcome to stay if you want, but we'll understand if you have to go.
Thanks, Eli.
Yeah, thanks
I've just got a
pleasure.
I've just got a question in the chat. I'm just gonna.
Sorry, yes.
I've got a question in the chat that I think is a great one, but it's kind of like a lengthy one to answer.
Well,
it's from.
Go for it.
Do we have time?
We'll find the time.
Just a couple of minutes. All right. It's from Mehdi. He's asking if your competitor is massive company with unlimited resources, how you make yourself different, right? And this is something that in the startup world, like we get a lot. Like one of the main questions that any venture capitalist will always ask you is like, you're a small tech company. If Google suddenly decides to enter the same market as you or the same niche as you, what are you going to do? How are you going to compete with that? And I think it's one of those questions that is usually designed to trip you up. It's designed to confuse you. You know, obviously any company that's big enough like Apple can always, or Amazon, you know, they could always enter any market that they want and they could absolutely dominate with their resources. But it's one of those things that you can't really do anything because as a new company, you're not at a place where you can build a protective moat around your business. You can't really directly compete with any of these guys. So my best advice would be to focus on your niche, focus on the problem you're solving, focus on the product you're developing, and make it as good as you possibly can. Because even in the worst case scenario, if those companies decide to enter the same market and compete with you, if your product is good enough, if your offering is solid enough and people love it, like at the worst case scenario, that company will try and buy your company. You know, so that's still kind of like a successful scenario, relatively speaking. Does that, I hope that helps. I don't want to go too much over time. I realize it's already been 20 minutes.
No,
Sorry,
no,
Eli.
Thank you, well, Mehdi. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. And then, as we said, just, you know, if you have more questions, if you want to know more, feel free to reach out directly to Saman. He made himself available. So, guys, please make use of it. This is your first steps of into
Absolutely.
networking. So use them.
Right.
Perfect. So, without much transition, guys, we're just gonna move on a few practical tips before sending you into breakout. So as we discussed, competitors are all around us. You just need to know where and how to look. So you will find them online and in the real world. You know that as well. And look everywhere. So remember what we discussed in the in-person workshop. When we talked about wild ideas, use the internet. Like, this is such an innovative tool, and you can really research all around the world and sort of look at competitors that haven't even reached your market yet, but you can already check them out using that fantastic tool. So don't hesitate using it. If you look online, a good starting point is Google Advanced Search, as someone mentioned, and that was the turn scale last month. If you missed it, or if you need a little bit of help, ask your turn coach, and we can help you with that. But fantastic tool if you wanna sort of refine your search of competitors. And then Cobra. You would have received an email from us, guys, a few days ago, maybe last week, and also a WhatsApp message again within your group today. We really encourage you to join and follow the steps. Join the SBREK library and get your free membership. The SBREK library will have available for you an online database just for market research. So you'll have a free membership to access this on your computer or your phone. So please make sure you sign in. If you're confused or if this means nothing to you, go back to that email that we sent. The subject is free membership Cobra workshop, or look into your WhatsApp group. So you'll have all the steps to join to get that free membership. And if this is still too sort of confusing, ask your turn coach and we'll do the steps with you. So we want you to get your membership before the workshop tomorrow at 1 p.m. Because you'll be able to research live while the librarian who will be delivering the workshop sort of give you tips on how to do that. So they're really here to help you. They're real business advisors. So we really encourage you to make use of that tool. It's free and it will change your professional life. That's a promise. These are both places that you can start looking online. And so please do so, guys. Still online, first few steps. So without all the big search engine, if you have a look at a magazine like Time Out, where they always list things like top 10 list of, you know, the best restaurants or the best clothing store or the best music, whichever field you want to get into, this is the sort of kind of platform that you can use and get just information on what's trending at the moment. So please do make use of that. Things like Marketplace and directories, a little bit like Cobra, basically. But you can also find your own online. Again, we recommend signing up for Cobra because the information that they give you is dynamic. So they change it in real time and it's always accurate. There's no, you know, you won't have erroneous information in the directory. But, you know, it's still a good place to start online. Conference and events, places like LinkedIn, there's always some virtual events there. You can sort of look for the companies, who's working there, check their profiles, get some information as well. And there are industries and association networks, so registered bodies which act as an umbrella for other organizations. So companies can register for more accreditation, legitimacy, and benefits. Things like Social Enterprise UK, for example, if you want to start a CIC or a non-profit, you'll be able to register with Social Enterprise UK. What's really cool about these big body is that they store a list of all the people registered with them, and you can actually browse that list and get some information, get some information on the companies registered there. So we do encourage you to use that. Then if you're gonna go out and about in the real world, you know, so everything is reopening. So this is not an option. Think about individual businesses, you know, just go and interact with them. Remember that you're a customer too. So go and check out places, you know, make a day out of it, and see how you feel about their product and services. Maybe, you know, and think about what you would improve yourself. So it's like you make a day out and you do your research at the same time. You know, it's not a bad way to spend your time. Go to events in person, they're coming back. So again, make the most of it. Marketplace and event space. There are so many small businesses that you can interact with and ask questions. So please do that. And wherever you go, remember someone first tip, speak to other consumer. There's always somebody who you can speak to that has a different experience from you. So there's always some insights there to gain to develop your own unique features. So remember, ask your peers. And when we say that, we even talk about the group you're in right now. So in the workshop, your business buddies, your coach, any team member, friends and family, people that you know that are living their lives and are experiencing that things, you can just ask them. Reviews. So you probably know that most business won't sort of openly put their weaknesses on their websites. But if you read sort of reviews from people, this has become sort of people's main tool to know what to buy or where to go or which Airbnb to book. We all look at the reviews. It's quite effective nowadays, and it really gives you a feel of you know, what's happening with the competition. So feel free to look at that. And of course, experts. An expert who promotes specific businesses or other organizations that they think are doing a great job. So you can sort of find these experts and then look at their review to sort of gain more insights. So if we go back to the basic step, remember, find your competitors, identify their strength and weakness, define your own USP, and then you can add these two sort of tips as well. So go and experience the competition as a customer and use your network to sort of gain even more insight, sort of another point of view that you wouldn't have sort of gained, because basically it comes from someone else. And one more thing as well, please do use Mighty Network. You would have been signed up on workshop number 1, the first in-person workshop. Feel free to ask any question within that platform. The wider Turn community will happily give you pointers and point you in the right direction. So make use of all these tools, guys. Right. Without much transition, it is now time for the first of our 2 breakouts. And it's all about your competitors. So if you go into your Google Drive and check out the table of contents of your business roadmap, if you click straight into number 4, My Competitors, it will take you to that page where you can start filling in information about competitors. So do fill in the name, maybe think about their website and social media. They might have some work on online that you want to know about. What do they do and what make them your competitors? And try to identify their strength and their weaknesses. So here we are, 30 minutes into the first breakout. That's generally enough for 2 or 3 direct competitors. If you find more, if you're really creative and got more, you can just copy and paste onto your Google Drive and focus on their strength and weaknesses. Is there any question before we go into the first breakout? Well, hopefully most of you are back, and it is now time to go into the second breakout. So on the same page in the Google Drive, there's a blue box at the bottom where you can really start thinking about your unique USPs. So when you go into that box, just think about what would make you different. You can start looking at the competitors that you just sort of listed and try to get different, or just for the sake of being creative, try to sort of think at the big major players and what would you do a little bit differently, even if it's a little bit unrealistic, but it's a creative exercise. So you can also use that for inspiration. So guys, we're gonna go for 20 minutes. It's a 20-minute breakout, and hopefully that'll give you time to work on some USPs, and then we'll come back and talk about what's next. So 20-minute breakout, guys. See you at the other end. Hello, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Yes, everybody's coming back. Welcome back, guys. I hope you had time to do what you said to do, but we know that there's never enough time in the breakout, but at least it's a start. So welcome back. We're going into the last 5 minutes of the workshop, and we're just gonna talk about what's next. So you to do, and we got some suggested one for yous. Coaching session 2 for the entrepreneurs. It's coming your way. You will receive comms from your Turn coach very soon. Cobra workshop. So by now you should know all about it. Ask for help if you need help to register. You won't regret it. I promise you that. And workshop 5 as well, coming your way, guys, next week. So do plan your to-dos. By now you should have gotten used to set goals with with your business buddies, and try to meet in between the workshop, because as you know, that's where the work is getting done, really. We got some suggested to-dos for you guys. Try to look at least 2 more competitors over the next few days, if you can, before the next workshop. Do plan some visits as we discuss. That's very useful to go and see the competitors. Now that the world is reopening, you can just go there in person. and keep exploring features and USP you want to take forward within the program. You're probably aware, somewhere in your radar, you're probably aware that there's a test coming. So do think about developing your features and USPs. Again, Cobra, I feel strongly about this one, guys, because it's super useful. We use it at Turn, just so you know, guys. I'm a member. The Turn team is a member. That's how good it is, and it's completely free. So register, ask for help to register. And this is tomorrow at 1 p.m. You should have all the comms on your WhatsApp group for that. And next week, and I feel like emulating Adele and Batman. So same bad place, same bad time for workshop number 5, my MVP and my USP. So this is where you'll start working on your prototype ahead of the test. So that's very much where the fun starts, because it's sort of getting just a little bit realer. You know, what is your idea and how do you get it out there? So please don't miss it. It'll be a lot of fun. And while we've got you, it's 7:44, so 1 minute ahead of schedule. Possibly my favorite slide. Time for feedback, guys. Please do take a minute to give us your frank and honest feedback on all these workshops, on all the content that you're getting from us. It means a lot to us. We're not really interested in compliments. We want to know what we can do better. So please be honest. We will still be friends. You know, if you ask us to improve something, but please do take the time to send us your feedback, because we act on it and we try to make the workshop even better. Once you've done that, then you are very much free to go, guys. I'm gonna leave that slide for 30 seconds more. If you're struggling with the phone, go to bit.ly/turnfeedback. You can also leave some feedback there. And I just want to stop sharing so I can see you all and say good night. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend 2 hours with us this evening. Have a lovely rest of the evening, and we'll see you next week at the next workshop. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.